The morning mist clings to Ganryu Island, the tide whispering against the rocks. Two figures face each other across the sand. One carries the finest steel money can buy, polished by master smiths and blessed in shrines. The other holds nothing but a wooden oar, carved moments before from his boat. Seagulls circle overhead, the wind stalls. But here's what no one expected. In less than 3 minutes, one of these men will be dead, and the other will become legend. How did a masterless rōnin, trained by his father yet bound to no school, defeat Japan's greatest kenshi? What deadly secret did Miyamoto Musashi discover that made him credited in later accounts with more than 60 undefeated duels? And why do his teachings still guide bushi, leaders, and thinkers 4 centuries later? Stay with me, because by the end of this story, you'll understand the invisible weapon that made Musashi invincible, and how his ancient wisdom can transform the battles you face today. This is Japan Rewind, where we uncover the truth behind Japan's most enduring legends. In the blood-soaked chaos of the Sengoku period, when warlords carved the islands with steel and fire, one man walked a different path. Miyamoto Musashi, the Kenshi who turned combat into philosophy and philosophy into a weapon. His name echoes through the ages, not only for his blade, but for his mind. Few realize the true source of his power. Today, we step into the world of Japan's most legendary samurai to uncover the deadly wisdom that made him invincible. The making of a monster. Born around 1584 in the mountain village of Miyamoto, a boy named Benosuke entered a world where death was currency and survival meant mastery. His father, Shinmen Munisai, was renowned for precision with ken and zitsute. He taught his son timing, posture, and silence between strikes. But what Benosuke became could not be contained within any dūzyū. At about 13, as later chronicles relate, he challenged Arima Kihei of the Shintoryu school. Kihei expected a child's fear. Instead, he met a storm. Musashi's wooden staff crashed down once, decisive, fatal. Imagine that moment. It was the first kill in an unbroken chain of victories, and the birth of a legend. He discovered his greatest weapon wasn't steel. It was the emptiness of mind. While others chased perfect kata, Musashi moved like water. Formless, adaptable, unreadable. By 16, he had fought multiple duels, each sharpening his sense of timing and distance. But here's what changed everything. Victory, he realized, was not technique, but perception. Baptism by fire. 1600. Japan convulses in the Great Battle of Sekigahara, the clash that would decide the nation's fate. Tokugawa Ieyasu's east meets Ishida Mitsunari's west in a tempest of iron and mud. Legends place a 16-year-old Musashi somewhere within that chaos. Perhaps among the western ranks, perhaps on its fringes. The truth remains shrouded. Where he fought remains uncertain. Later sources place him with the western cause, though the evidence is thin. Arrows screamed through smoke. Horses crashed into lines of men. The sky was a black storm of ash. When the western cause collapsed, Musashi fled into the mountains. Many defeated samurai took their own lives for Meio. Musashi chose life. What most don't understand is that those years forged him in a different fire, one of solitude and observation. He learned that Meio without victory was a beautiful way to die, and tradition without adaptation was suicide. He would live and learn. The Wanderer's Path. For years after Sekigahara, Musashi wandered Japan, a ken on the wind. He slept beneath pines and temple eaves, bathed under waterfalls, and watched sparrows wheel through morning mist. Every encounter was a lesson written in motion. He dueled spearmen in Kyushu, temple fighters in Nara, mercenaries along the inland sea. Each opponent taught him something about rhythm, distance, and fear. The crane's balance, the pause before lightning, the breath before a blade cuts air. He began to see combat as a mirror of nature, flowing, unpredictable, alive. But this was just the beginning. Musashi was no longer just a fighter. He was becoming a philosopher of motion. The Yoshioka Clash. Kyoto, 1604. Rumor raced through the capital. A wild rōnin from the provinces had come to challenge the Yoshioka, famed instructors at the Shiugun's court during the Ashikaga era. Their name was synonymous with perfection. Their students commanded armies. To defeat them was unthinkable. What happened next shocked everyone. The first duel was over before the crowd exhaled. Yoshioka Shizuoru fell, his arm shattered by a single strike from Musashi's wooden ken. Humiliation burned. His brother Denshichiru challenged next. Another blow. Another defeat. Meiyo cracked. The Yoshioka prepared an ambush at Ichizuuzi. Dozens waited among the pines, but Musashi was always one step ahead. He arrived early, read the trap, and struck first. Steel sang through fog. 2 ken, katana, and wakizashi spun as one. Niten Ichiryu was born. When the dust settled, young Matashichiru lay dead. The Kyuto Yoshioka's prestige collapsed. From the temples of Kyuto to the ports of Nagasaki, one name was whispered in awe and fear. Miyamoto Musashi. The perfect duel. April 13th, 1612. According to tradition, the sea around Ganryu Island shimmered silver with dawn light. Musashi rode alone toward his greatest test. Sasaki Koziru, master of the swallow cut, wielder of a ken so long it seemed to bend the horizon. Koziru was perfection made flesh, tall, elegant, flawless in technique. He waited impatiently, his anger rising with the sun. Here's the genius move no one saw coming. Musashi was late on purpose. He understood that psychology could be sharper than any blade. While Koziru fumed, Musashi carved his oar into a wooden ken. When he stepped ashore, the beach fell silent. No armor, no ceremony, only intent. 3 heartbeats. The swallow cut whistled through air. Musashi moved first. Wood met bone with a crack, like pottery breaking. Koziru fell. Musashi did not look back. He pushed off into the current, his oar sword resting across his knees, the island drifting away like a dream. The weight of victory. The morning tide washed over Ganryu Island, erasing footprints in the sand, but not the questions that followed Musashi back to shore. He had achieved what no kenshi before him ever had. Perfect victory through perfect timing. Yet as his boat cut through the waves, something gnawed deeper than any blade ever could. But victory came with an unexpected price. Fame spread like wildfire across Japan. But legends, Musashi learned, were prisons of their own making. Challengers arrived daily, young samurai seeking glory, old masters defending Meiyo. Each duel won only summoned 10 more. He began to see the pattern beneath the pattern. They fought not him, but his reputation. And in defeating them, he was becoming trapped by his own success. So he did something revolutionary. Instead of meeting every challenge, he studied the challengers themselves. Their stance before they drew. The rhythm of their breathing. The stories they told themselves about victory and defeat. He realized most duels were decided not when steel met steel, but in the moment 2 warriors first locked eyes. This was his true discovery on Ganryu Island. Not a new technique, but a new way of seeing. The duel within the duel. Once he understood this invisible war, physical combat became almost predictable. But mastery through violence brought no peace. The faces of the fallen haunted his dreams. Koziru's shock, Shizuoru's broken arm, the young Yoshioka heir dead before 20. Each victory carved away another piece of Musashi's soul. He sought balance through other paths, painting cranes in flight, carving Buddhas from driftwood, writing poems on impermanence. Through art, he tried to still the storm decades of killing had unleashed within him. The warrior was becoming something else, something deeper. The Book of 5 Rings. 1643. Raigandu Cave near Mount Iwato. At 59, scarred and weary, Musashi retreated into silence. The candle flickered against stone walls. His ink brush scratched like steel on paper. He wrote Gorin no Shio, the Book of 5 Rings. 5 scrolls, 5 mirrors of truth. Earth. Foundation. Know your weapon, your enemy, yourself. Water. Adaptability. Flow around obstacles, be shapeless yet sure. Fire. Timing and rhythm. Every conflict has a beat. Command it. Wind. Study others. Understand their habits to break them. Void. Emptiness beyond thought, where action and mind become one. But here's what makes this extraordinary. He was no longer teaching how to win fights, but how to perceive. When the mind is still, victory is already chosen. The legacy of the sword saint. When Musashi set down his brush, his words did not rest. They spread through clans, schools, and centuries. Students of Hyuho Niten-ichi-ryu carried his two-sword method through Kyushu and beyond. The school endures today. His ideas on timing and deception echo in other great houses of strategy. Artists saw in his brushwork a fusion of discipline and freedom. Poets quoted his coup. Zen monks recognized in him the still mind of Satori. But his influence didn't stop there. Centuries later, his words crossed oceans, studied by generals, entrepreneurs, athletes, and seekers of focus amid noise. In martial arts halls, his stance is still a ritual of balance between two heavens. In boardrooms, his phrase, "understand the way broadly so you can see it in all things," becomes counsel. Or, as another translation has it, "from one thing, know 10,000 things." In art schools, his ink paintings of shrikes and reeds are studied for their emptiness and grace. Through it all, Musashi became more than a samurai. He became a mirror of human discipline itself. 400 years on, his book remains a compass for those who seek mastery without losing themselves. The Kensei's lesson was never how to kill, it was how to see. The eternal way, Miyamoto Musashi died. Tradition says, seated in meditation at Reigando on June 13, 1645. His final scroll complete, but death was only the beginning of his true victory. The Gorin no Shio spread through Japan. Samurai studied it, merchants adapted it, modern armies still quote it. He is credited in later records with more than 60 undefeated duels and the founding of Niten-ichi-ryu. His insights into timing, adaptation, and clarity remain as relevant in our digital age as on the muddy fields of feudal Japan. Yet his greatest lesson was never about winning. It was about understanding. He taught that rigid form breaks, but awareness bends and survives. To be formless, to be empty, to live in the moment between breaths. That was his final duel, not against men, but against the self. Musashi's shadow through time. Centuries later, Musashi's shadow still walks among us. He lives in countless films, novels, and anime, sometimes a wandering monk, sometimes a god of war. Each retelling adds myth, yet beneath them all remains the man who sought truth through struggle. From Inagaki's black and white epics to modern manga panels and cinema, his life has been painted 100 ways, but the philosophy endures. Because Musashi's story isn't about blood, it's about clarity. Every generation rediscovers him, not to glorify violence, but to ask the question he faced in that cave. What does it mean to master oneself in a world ruled by conflict and noise? The answer, he whispers across centuries, is to live as the Ken lives, simple, sharp, and still. The morning mist still clings to Ganryu Island, but now you know what really happened in those 3 minutes that changed history. The way of the warrior never ends, it only deepens. If Musashi's deadly wisdom spoke to you, share your thoughts below. What modern battles could his teachings help you fight? And if you wish to explore more of Japan's warrior past, subscribe to Japan Rewind and ring that bell. Because each week, we reveal the truth behind the myths that forged a nation. Until next time, walk the way.